The SPY Super System Live Trading Room and Alert Service. And I'm going to do a little bit of a different type of webinar today. We're going to be talking about how we use the SPY Super System software to trade intraday trades off of 5-minute candlesticks. We're not going to be talking about swing trades, but these are all intraday trades. And we're going to talk about how we use this to successfully trade the indexes, the futures, and stocks as well. So all of these things, all of these can be used, can be traded using the SPY Super System indicators that we're going to cover. So it shouldn't take too long. It's going to be fairly informal. So we'll get started. And of course, again, this is the SPY Super System intraday trading. And again, I'm Dave with the SPY Super System Options Live Trading Room. All right, so first thing I have to do, of course, is a disclaimer. All signals and trading opportunities we provide are for educational and demonstration purposes only. Trading is very risky, so you should never trade with more money than you can afford to lose. And neither myself or Right Line Trading are licensed financial advisors, so we won't be giving financial advice. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit, just briefly. This is called the COMPENSATED Text Alert Service. This is the service that we provide, as well as the trading room, the options trading room. We send out alerts on the most high probability trades we have. Most of these are actually swing type trades. We don't do any alerts on real quick intraday trades because there's not enough time to get them out and get the folks to get in. But this is what the text alert service looks like. You get it on your phone. Takes about 5 to 10 seconds to get to your phone once we send those alerts out. And we take them on just the very highest probability trade setups that we can find. Okay, so in the room, by the way, and we have a couple of rules that we trade by. First one is we trade the best and skip the rest. This is how we find the very highest probability trade setups. The main feature of that is identifying trades that institutions are in, trading with the institutions, and don't trade when the institutions aren't in the trade. So we trade the best and skip the rest. Skip the rest is really important. This means we don't take trades that may look good, but we don't have institutional trading in them. So we skip some trades, skip a lot of trades. And you actually can, this is a lot of times more important than the trades that you do take and make money on, because if you skip a trade and it would have been a losing trade, that's just as advantageous. And the second thing is our objective is not to make trades. Our objective is to make money. This is meant to keep retail traders from over trading. That's one of the biggest problems that retail traders have. They feel like they need to be in a trade all the time. So that's our objective. Our objective is not to make trades. Our objective is to make money. We just take very high probability trade setups. And as a profitable retail trader, we need an edge. We have a few edges. Main edges, we have the SPY Super System software, which I'm going to show you. And tonight I'm going to show it to you for intraday type trades. A lot of them are very quick, 5-minute candles, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute candles. Very quick trades that we take intraday. But the SPY Super System also can be used for swing trades as well. Tonight we're going to be just talking about intraday trades. We also trade relative strength and relative weakness. This is not to be confused with RSI. Relative strength is how is the stock that you're trading, how is that performing relative to the S&P 500, to the SPY. Stocks that are outperforming the SPY. If the SPY is moving sideways and down and you have a stock that's stacking green candles, it's got relative strength, and vice versa on the weakness side. When we're trading indexes, if you're trading the SPY, the Qs, the IWM, a lot of times they may be all green. What you want to do is trade the one that has is trading the strongest. If the SPY is up 1%, the Qs are up 0.7%, and the IWM is up 0.2%. You take the SPY, take the one that's outperforming the other two indexes. Trading with the market trend. This is important. The market is having a trending day, either up or down. We want to trade in that direction. And if we take a stock, obviously we want to trade in the direction of that stock. We're going long a stock. We prefer to have it be green for the day. We want to trade a stock that's been moving up. And lastly, buy near support, sell near resistance. Very critical. In this webinar, we're going to be talking about the 5-minute chart. The key levels here are the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, and the 15 EMA. We use both of those as support resistance levels on the 5-minute chart, which I'm going to cover in some detail here. Okay, topics to be covered. We're going to look at the SPY Super System indicators. Be looking at the ones on the 5-minute chart and how we use those. finding relative strength and relative weakness. I kind of told you how we do that already. We just compare a stock price, its movement relative to what the SPY is doing at the same time. Technical charts tell a story. This is very important. The technicals on a trade, when you look at the technicals, you can decipher a lot about what that stock is likely to do based on the technical chart. And you add that in with the SPY super system indicators that tell us if the institutions are in there, it gives you a huge edge over other retail traders. Finding and using support and resistance, talk about that. This one is interesting. Algos have taken over the market. Let's join them. Algos account for about 85% of the trades. Now, algos are done by institutions. So what the algos are doing, if they're doing them in a concerted effort from multiple institutions, and they're trading a stock in the same direction, that's what we're finding with the SPY super system. And algos, again, is very important that we join them. We're not going to fight them. We're going to join them. We're not going to take money from institutions. We're going to take money from retail traders. And how algos have taken money from retail traders, it's pretty, algos have programs. They're programs that are written, computer programs that are written by the institutions to look for specific conditions, setups on the charts. Also, they look at news, and they know what a lot of retail traders use for setups. They knew about MACD crossovers. They know what the traders use RSI. They're looking for divergences. They can identify those. They can write software to identify those situations and create the condition that can trap the retail traders in those trades. So this happens all the time. And you know, if you've got a hard stop out there on a particular position that you're in, the institutions can see those hard stops, and they know where they are, and they can flush it down through it and then bounce it back up. And they've been doing this now for quite a while. Okay, so just quickly, I want to run through this slide. What drives the market? It's made up of two groups. This is the retail traders, the little marbles here. That's most of us. I'm a retail trader. Most everybody listening to this is a retail trader. And it's important to understand that when retail traders are basically into the market or trading, and they don't have any institutional support behind them, all you're going to get is chop and chaos. You're not going to make any money just trading when retail traders are moving a stock. Once the institutions get in there, and I don't mean just one institution buying it, another institution selling it. I mean a concerted number of institutions are pushing the track in the same direction. That's what we want to be in. We want to follow those up. Those are the trades we want to be in. We don't want to be in when just the retail traders are in there. It's just you're not going to get a good direction. It's not going to last long. You're going to get chopped and you're going to get chaos. So that's very important. This is what we're trying to identify. Okay. Again, algos have taken over the market. Let's join them. That's what we're doing with the SPY super system. We're identifying institutions that are trading. And tonight we're going to be looking at the institutions as they trade on 5-minute charts, not daily charts. Okay, the Compass system, which is actually the original name of the SPY super system, we call it the SPY super system now. It identifies the highest probability trade setups while sidestepping trade setups that look good, but will fail more often they succeed. That would be stocks that are set up technically well, but don't have any institutions actually pushing them. And it does this by identifying when institutions are driving the move and when they're not, which I'll show you how we identify that. It analyzes a lot of complex trading data to do this. But the interesting thing is it's the results of those analysis are displayed in just colors on a chart, which I'll show you, that shows that it's very easy to identify when institutions are in the trade. Even for somebody who's a fairly new trader, you can identify when institutions are in the trade and when they're not by looking at the colors, and we're going to go into some detail on that. Okay, now the indicators that we're going to be using for the SPY super system intraday trades, and I'm going to show you them on the chart. For the indexes, we're going to be looking at the SPYs, the Q, the IWM, and any stocks. We can trade the SPY super system that we call, it's a SPY super system methodology for 5-minute charts. This is a fairly quick, these are quick trades. Most of these trades are only going to last from 1 to about 6 candles, a 5-minute candle. So, from maybe 5 minutes to a half an hour. So they're going to be very quick. And we'll be doing these on the indexes and any stocks. You can also use them on the futures if you want. We're going to be looking at the current time frame momentum. This is one of the indicators on the SPY super system that we're going to look for. We're going to be looking for color changes. Color changes tell us if we're going from institutions selling to institutions buying. The support resistance levels that we're going to trade off of are the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. This is the critical level. All the institutions use this. This is where they get in and get out of trades most of the time. It's called the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. We'll show you that. And again, price above the VWAP for going longs, price should be below the VWAP for going short. And we also use the 15 EMA of an EMA. It's a smooth 15 EMA as a support resistance level to enter trades when the stock price has got away from the VWAP. It's moved away from the VWAP, so we really can't use the VWAP for support resistance levels to get in. We use the 15 EMA the same way. So this is one of the other support resistance levels that we use. And then you're going to see a pivot point. These are white lines. It's one pivot point. We only have one pivot point on the charts that occur when the SPY super system identifies it. It creates that pivot point, and that becomes a support or resistance level, basically to let you know when to get it, when to consider getting out of the trade, start to take profits. Okay. Now, the thing that we're going to talk about here more than anything is momentum, because momentum is critical to determining if the institutions are in the trade. And a lot of traders they misunderstand what actually constitutes momentum. So what is it really? Well, it's not stocks just moving up in green candles or moving down with red candles. A lot of traders, most traders think that if they get 3 or 4 green candles in a row, that stock has got momentum, but that's not how it's actually measured. To measure it, to determine if the institutions are in there, these are 5-minute candlesticks. If you go from one candle to the next candle, what you're looking for to determine if you've actually got momentum is the close of the candle right here. This is your open, the black, the closes, the highs of the black, and this is the close of the candle. As you go from one 5-minute candle to another 5-minute candle, the close of the candle is closer to the top. You see how it's closer to the top, closer to the top, closer to the top. This is what indicates momentum. The price move doesn't have to be that fast, but you do want the close of that candle to be closer to what the high of that candle was. And on the short side, it's exactly the opposite. You want the close of the candle to be getting closer and closer to the low of the candle. That's how you decide to determine momentum. So if we're looking at momentum across 1, 2, or 3 different time frames, for us to have determine if institutions are in the trade, we have to see this across multiple time frames, right? And if it's occurring on like on the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the 45-minute, and it's all doing the same thing, the fact that the institutions are driving the trade is about 95% sure. Okay, and listen, institutions get into trades and then they get out of trades. They don't stay with relative strength all day long. But when you get into a trade, you want to identify one that has relative strength at that time. Right, so this is how momentum is measured. So the momentum we're going to be looking at on the chart, when you see the different colors, this is what it's just indicating. All right, and this quickly is this is the SPY super system right here. This is what we would use for swing trades and for 5-minute trades, but we're going to focus on 5-minute trades. We're going to be focusing on this right here. This is the current time frame momentum. This tells us what's happening on 5 minutes. It's going to have colors. It's got red and yellow. That's bearish, and green and blue, that's bullish, right? So what we're looking for is either bullish or bearish indicators here, letting us know if the institutions are getting in or getting out from any point in time, right? So the multi-time frame momentum, this is used much more for swing trades, as is long-term trend. So for intraday trades, SPY super system intraday trades, this is what we're going to be focusing on. The ones I'll show you tonight, this is what we're going to be looking for, right? Now up in the chart itself, in the price part of the chart, the big line here that's important is this VWAP, volume weighted average price, right here. This pink line, it says VWAP, that's the volume weighted average price. Breaks above that, a long, breaks below that, a short. This is what we look for. Now, if the price gets away from the VWAP, volume weighted average price, this is what we switch to the 15 EMA. It's this thin green line right here. That's the 15 EMA. That's another support resistance level that we can use, as I get it identifies the 15 EMA. All right. This is the pivot point. These aren't always there. This would be a support level if you were short the stock and it was coming down, then you would want to consider getting out as it approaches that pivot point. And then we have pop signals, these little arrows. These are pop out of the box symbols. These tell you that the stock is breaking out of compression, and they're good entry levels for a trade, which will cover that with quite a bit of detail here tonight. And this new indicator we just added here, these two are not being used anymore. We use this here is the bold up. This is market internals. This tells us how the market is trending for the whole market, all the New York Stock Exchange. That's the total number of stocks, total volume of stocks moving up minus the total volume of stocks moving down. This tells us right now that it's moving up and it's green. We have a lot more stocks moving up with volume than we have stocks moving down with volume. This gives you an indication of perhaps which direction you want to trade in. All right, so that's what the SPY Super System looks like. It runs on Thinkorswim, but you don't have to trade on Thinkorswim. If you buy the software, it gets installed on Thinkorswim, and it's going to look just exactly like this. This is mine. This is what it looks like. You'd have all the same indicators. We have some scans over here that we use. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on those, but we do have a bunch of scans that run off of Thinkorswim. But this is the pricing that we're going to be looking for to identify stocks that we can trade for quick intraday trades, short or long. Okay, and now we also have, if you buy the SPY Super System, you get this template, and you also get this template, and you can swap them back and forth. This is for folks who just want to trade the SPY Super System. In other words, just quick type trades on the indexes, the futures, or any stock. This is all you really need. This is the current time frame momentum. This is critical. The VWAP is critical. The 15 EMA is critical, and pivot point, which we don't have on here right now, is also viewed. So this gives you all that information on just the 5-minute candlestick. That's all you're really interested in for this, what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is SPY Super System intraday trades. Okay, now the SPY Super System setup criteria for indexes. If we're looking at the SPY, the Q, and the IWM, and we want to trade some quick intraday trades in those, what you're going to do is you're going to trade the strongest index on an up day and trade the weakest index on a down day, as I mentioned earlier. So if you've got the SPYs, the Qs, and the IWM, and the SPY is moving up, and it's moving up faster than the Qs or the IWM, then you're going to go ahead and trade that, and that should stay IWM. You would take the one that's the strongest, as long as it's not close to a resistance level. So you want to take the one that has the most room, but you want to take the strongest of the three. Again, and you're going to enter, and I'm going to go over this in detail. You're going to enter when the current momentum indicator, the one we just looked at right here, current momentum indicator, changes from red or yellow to blue or green. In other words, from bearish to bullish. Red or yellow switches to blue or green. That would be for long. Okay, when the current momentum indicator changes from blue or green, which is bullish, to red or to yellow or red, that would be a short. You would be taking it as the market as the momentum indicator is telling you that the institution is now selling this. All right. So if you're going long, the index should be up for the day. To be at the highest probability trade, you want to be going. If the SPY is green, you want to trade it long. I mean, there are cases where you can trade it short if it's breaking down, but typically you're going to have a higher probability of success if you go long the index if it's green for the day and go short the index if it's red for the day. And the stock price, of course, should be above the VWAP for longs and below the VWAP for shorts, right? So that's the criteria for indexes. Okay, we're going to talk here about the couple of best entries for indexes. And then I'm going to go into some detail of what we look for. There are two high probability setups should be traded. For longs, you take the strongest index, as we said. Now this is just for indexes. We're going to talk about the stocks in just a minute. It's a little bit different. For strongest bullish index, SPY, Q, IWN, price moving up through the VWAP, or bouncing off the VWAP after pullback. So it's coming from below the VWAP and moving through it, and you're getting in the momentum indicator is turning bullish, or it's bouncing off the VWAP. It's been moving up, it pulls down to the VWAP and then bounces off the VWAP and heads back up with the market current time frame momentum is bullish. So those are the cases for the strongest bullish one, and the current momentum indicator must be blue or green. Must be blue or green when you go long the trade. Now the second thing is if the stock has moved away from the VWAP, the price has moved away from the VWAP, you use exactly the same conditions on the 15 EMA. Price moving up through the EMA or bouncing after the EMA after pullback. right? So it's going to be going through the 15 EMA, moving up through it, and the current momentum indicator must be blue or green. It could have been just been red, or it could have been green for a while, but it must be bullish. So a break up through the 15, or a stock price moving down to the 15 and bouncing off of it, right? So I'm going to show examples of all of these, right? And again, for shorts, it's exactly the opposite. You take the weakest index. Which one is the weakest for going short? Which one is down the most for the day? Price moving down through the VWAP or bouncing off the VWAP after move up. And the current momentum indicator must be yellow or red. Or if it's gotten away from the VWAP, price moving down through the 15 EMA or bouncing off the 15 EMA after a move up, current momentum indicator must be yellow or red. Right, and I'm going to show a bunch of examples. It may sound complicated, but it's really not once you see these. All right, now intraday trading using the SPY super system, current time frame momentum, the 5 minutes, the indicator for the indexes and stocks. Bullish trade, the momentum indicator changes from red or yellow to blue or green. That means we've gone from institutions selling to institutions buying. The stock price is positive for the day. All right, it'd be green for the day. Stock price is above the VWAP on the 15-minute chart. There should be no nearby resistance, such as a pivot point. Higher probability on bullish trending days. If the market's moving up, you're going to get more bang for your buck on a move up if the market's trending as opposed to choppy. And trade the stock with relative strength. When you're trading stocks, you trade the stock with relative strength versus the SPY, right? So the indexes are traded by this, take the strongest index of the three. And for stock, you want to take a stock that has relative strength versus the SPY, okay? Again, we're going to do bearish trades. Momentum indicator changes from blue or green to red or yellow. Obviously, from institutions buying to institutions selling. Stock price is negative for the day, so the stock price is moving down, and it is red for the day. The stock price is below the VWAP. Right, the 5-minute chart should be coming down through it. There should be no nearby support, such as a pivot point, so you've got plenty of room for the trade to work. And higher probability on bearish trending days. Obviously, if the market's trending down, you take a short. If the market's trending to the downside, you're going to be able to get more out of that. And trade stocks with relative weakness to the SPY. So these are basically the criteria setup that you're going to take for trading indexes or stocks. Okay. Now again, here is the setup that we looked at earlier. So here's the market internals. That's telling you which way the New York Stock Exchange is trending for the day. Here's your current time for momentum right here. This is the key thing. We're going to look at a bunch of trades using this particular index right here, this indicator. This is multi-time frame, this is long-term trend, but here's what we're going to focus on, right? And obviously we're going to be looking at the pivot point. We're going to be looking at the VWAP right here and the 15 EMA. Right, so there is your indexes that the SPY Super System creates on Thinkorswim. And again, you buy the software, you're going to get the exact same setup that I've got. And I'm going to show you some live charts here in just a bit. And again, here's the new template. This is what we use for just intraday trades, very quick intraday trades. You can see the current time frame momentum here. You can see what this does. You can see that they change back, going from buying here to selling, this heavy selling back to buying, and then back to heavy buying. And you'll be able to identify these setups on the chart. All right. So again, color codes for the SPY Super System indicators: green, bullish is strong. Right, blue, bullish trending. This is the strongest bullish. This is a trending bull. Red, bearish strong. This is strong, the weakest stocks right there with the red, they'll be red. And yellow is a bearish trend. The stocks are trending down, but they haven't reached the strength of the red color yet. All right, so those are our colors that we're going to be using on the system. Right, so now I'm going to look at some live charts. I'm going to go back to the actual Thinkorswim platform and bring it up here. And we're going to take some charts from today. All right, and we're gonna look at how this system works. And I've identified a few trades that we took today, and we're gonna look at the indicators in just the current time frame momentum. This is all we need to look at right here. Right, so here's the chart. Here's our VWAP right here. Here's our 15 EMA. Here's our current time frame momentum. Now, if you notice here at about 10:10, we went from the institutions selling. See how it's yellow, to institutions buying. It's went to blue. And you see we're getting a move above the VWAP right there as it breaks through. This is a SPY Super System entry right there. especially with the pop out of the box symbol that's telling us we're breaking compression. It breaks up through the VWAP. Institutions are buying. We get in the trade and we start off by the VWAP will become a stop. Then as the price moves up away from the VWAP, and you notice it's moving away, see it's coming up on the 15 EMA, this becomes a stop. So we stay in the trade and as long as we want to, as long as it stays above the 15. And as we get up here and the momentum starts to fade, this is where we get out. Right here, as it comes back down to the 15, you don't really need to stay in it anymore. You could if you wanted to because you see it's still green, but you've probably taken some pretty good profits right here. So this is why we stayed in that IONQ. That's the trade we took. And if we move this along a little bit further, you'll see as the day goes on, there are a couple of other places where you could have taken along right here. As it comes off the 15, it was already green, and you could ride that up a little bit. But you're going to see trades that work like that, and then you see how it switches to yellow here. So you obviously you're getting out before that happens. Right, so that's IONQ. I want to take a look at Tesla. Again, I'm trying to keep this fairly informal, but I want you to actually see what these setups look like. Tesla, we took one today at 220 today. So I want to go in here and look at 220. Is 220 right here? All right. Now, his Tesla, it was pretty chopping around today. It was up and down a lot. But right here, if you're looking at the SPY Super System momentum indicator, you see how it went from buying right here to selling, buying, selling, and then it went to buying right here. But it occurred as we broke above the 15 EMA right here, and then we had a pop out of the box, compression break right there, and it stayed green for the next candle. Now it went to yellow here. So if you're in this trade, you could consider taking it off here, or you could wait to see what happens after one more candle. And this one, we just waited to see what happened on one more candle. And you can see what happened here. It moved up, and then it continued up and continued up and continued up. And this was a beautiful trade in Tesla right here. As we got it long, we had one yellow candle, one yellow block in there on the momentum indicator, but then went right back to green again and rolled right up. And this is the actual momentum indicator right here. So you can see that it went blue here, it went yellow here just because it poked down just a bit, but it was still very high. It was still up near the red section. So that was one I wouldn't have got out of. And it gave you a beautiful return on the SPY Super System for Tesla right here, right now. This was really, really nice. And it was up and down a lot today. But that was a really nice trade. There was another one this morning that you could have taken right here, or I guess it was lunchtime, about 12:10, as it broke above the 15 EMA and then moved up, and everything was green. But again, you had some more yellow and blue mixed in here. So you probably would have just wanted to take it off as the momentum kind of flattens out a little bit here. Right, so that's some Tesla. Let's take a look at a SPY trade. SPY trade today, 10:35 this morning. Go back to 10:35 this morning. Here's the SPY trade. Right, so here's the VWAP is the pink line. Right, look at the SPY. It's coming along the VWAP. It's just riding along it, and we're waiting for a break, and we get a break right here at 10:35. So we take the trade right here, and we got the 15 just below. We want to see the stock stay above the 15 and above the VWAP, or especially above the 15. So we get in right here and we get a little flush down, and then we stay in it and stay in it. It's because notice how green it is. Current time frame momentum, staying green. You ride this trade up, and it's continuing up, continuing up, continuing up. This was a beautiful trade in the SPY, right? So I get out here as it starts to lose momentum. It starts to go back to a 15, and notice here it went back to yellow. So you have to exit there, but I would exit as soon as momentum faded. But this was a nice trade, very nice trade. And this lasted quite a few candles. That was quite a few candles. You don't necessarily get that many candles in a trade, but that was a pretty nice one. You can see how much the institutions were buying on SPY. Let's take a look at a short today. Oops, that's not it. Here we are. Colgate-Palmolive. Right, so Colgate-Palmolive was very weak. It's been weak for quite a while. 2:35 today. It becomes a setup. Right, so here's 2 o'clock. Here's 2:35. Now you can see where the pricing is here. You see the institutions buying here, all right? And then they shift to selling right here, right there at 2:35. But and you notice it's breaking down below the VWAP and the 15. It's breaking below those support levels right there. Okay, it's breaking down through them. Right there on this pop out of the box compression break, this is where you would take the trade. Right there, it's yellow, foot to 2:35, and you just ride this thing down, and the 15 becomes your stop. And as it gets extended from the 15, you want to start thinking about taking profits, right? Because it's coming down, and I get over here and I put a little hammer bar in, but this is a beautiful trade to the downside right here. And again, that's a really nice SPY super system trade. You just have to, you wait for the setups. It's important to wait for your setups to come to you and take advantage of it. But this stock had been red for the day. I mean, it started out, if I go back and look at it for this morning on Colgate, you go back and look, it gapped right down this morning, first thing, gapped down and just chopped around. And then that's where we took the trade that we just showed you right there. Beautiful, beautiful trade in CL. Okay. NNE, another one. We had the nuclears were strong today. So NNE was, and obviously you're not going to get all of these. You have to be watching individual stocks. The scanner will show you some of them, and you just have to find your spots and just wait for them and trade. Just because you're only trading one of these at a time. SPY super system trades, you don't want to be in a bunch of trades. You want to be in one trade at a time. You take your calls, take your puts, then take your profits, and then look for another one. All right, so it's fairly quick. NNE was about 1245 right here. I think you can probably see that, right? Institutions are buying right here. You could have probably taken it anywhere in here. My inclination was to take it here when I got a pop signal as it broke above the 15 EMA. And this went from blue, which is bullish, to green, which is very bullish. And we take it right here at about, what, $52.39. You ride it up, the 15 becomes your stop. Watch this, it stays green. Institutions buy, and then you start to fade a little bit right here. This is where you would take profits. It just starts to roll over because you've got some beautiful profits in this trade at this point, and it goes yellow over here. You would be out of it by then, but that's a nice trade in NNE, and you're talking about 30 minutes or so for a really beautiful return on NNE. Let's see, SYN was another one. SYM, there's two actual entries in this one. At 1220, right here, you take it at 1220. Now this was a pretty big candle. Sometimes it's hard to catch them on these big candles, but you notice it went from yellow selling to blue buying right here. You could have taken it right here at about 1210 as it broke through the 15. You would have got another opportunity right there to buy it, and it's just going to move sideways here. But notice it stays above the 15 EMA the whole way. And then here at 1315 and 115, this is where you could have, if you weren't in it here, you could have taken it here. And look at the beautiful trade this was. Breaks up here off of the 15, pop out of the box, institutions buying it, moves sideways, you're just watching it, it stays above the 15, and then it takes off and shoots up here like here, and then you get a beautiful place to get out right there on that trade. That's SYM. Really nice trade today. Sky was another one. This was a Sky. Was about 1040 this morning. This was pretty early on this one. But here's Sky, and this was a short. It was very bearish, very bearish. If you look at the chart on Sky, it was very bearish today. So notice it went from current time frame momentum blue, the current time frame momentum yellow. Institutions buying, institutions selling. And what do we see? We see it pop out of the box or break down below the VWAP right there. Take the trade right there at 1040. Right, you just get in and you make sure that it stays below the VWAP and the 15, which it does. Stays below it, stays below it, stays below it. And when it gets down here and you start to lose momentum like this, you're typically going to get out of the trade when it starts to lose momentum to the downside. You would have had to get out here as a switch back to blue, but you made some nice profits in this thing on this trade right here with some puts. Puts would have given you a really sweet profit, and institutions went from buying to selling. The SPY super system tells you that the institutions are selling this. You want to be selling. All right, AEO was one more. I'm just going to cover a couple more, and then we'll just wrap it up. But I just kind of wanted to show you the software and how well this works. Now AEO was 155 was the time on this one. All right, so right over in here, AEO was 155 right there. Okay, so we're below the VWAP. The institutions had been buying all through here. Notice they were buying, but it went right up to the VWAP, which was resistance. So you wouldn't be going long here because it was weak for the day anyway, and you're not going to try to go long when it's below the VWAP. And here it breaks down here about 150 on AEO, 150, 155. This would be your entry. So it goes from buying right here, green, to selling right here, yellow. Institutions are selling. You jump on the board, you want to follow the institutions, you get in right here on this candle, or you could have get in on this candle because it broke below the 15 here and stayed below it here. This is where you would take the trade, and it kind of moves sideways, moves right along the 15, but it doesn't close above it. You stay in the trade, it stays yellow, institutions selling, then it switches to red, institutions selling some more. And look at the move trade, you look at the move you got in this trade. When you get in right here at about, say about 16.15, and the thing moved down here to about 15.84 on puts, that would have been a really nice, really nice trade. You see how it switches to blue here, obviously you're out, but see how red this is? See what kind of a nice run you got in AEO just by following the institutions, selling the position, obviously selling and getting in right close to a support resistance level. It's really important that you get into these trades right at the VWAP or right at the 15, because if they go against you and they move back up above the 15 or back up above the VWAP, your losses are going to be minimal because you got in so close to that support resistance level that you get out. Once it breaks above there and closes above that, you're going to have very small losses on these kind of trades because you're getting in so close to support resistance. You don't want to chase. You want to be taking the trade down here when it's that far away from the VWAP of the 15 EMA. You want to be in right here or right here as it breaks through the 15. So your support level is close to your entry. All right, and I'll show one last one, Starbucks. All right, this Starbucks right there. This was about 11:10 this morning, I think. Go back and look. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to see. Here they are buying, blue buying, green buying. They're buying the heck out of Starbucks. Then they switch over to selling right there. 11:10. This is where you take the trade right there after it breaks below the 15. You take it short, take some puts, stays red, stays yellow, and goes to red. Follow the 15 down. Keeps coming down, keeps coming down, keeps coming down. This is where I would have got out of the trade right here. It wouldn't have stayed in any longer than that, even though it was still red, because it looks like it's moving momentum. But you had a beautiful trade. Again, this is a half an hour trade or something. These things are worth a lot of money when you're in straight puts on these things. They produce very, very good profits on these. I think I don't know what profit factor is on these trades. If you're familiar what a profit factor is, profit factor of 1 means you're breaking even. Profit factor of 2 is you're making twice as much. These SPY super system trades that we've been running now for about a year and a half have a profit factor of over 4. Really, and that's mainly because you're getting in so close to support or resistance, so your losses are fairly small on all these things when you do have losses. And you do have losses. You're going to have some of these that don't work. So those are the trades that we take on the SPY super system, both for the indexes and for the indexes. You can do it. You can also do it on the futures if you want ES, NQ, any of those it works for. But that's what it looks like. And if you buy the software, this is what you'll get. You can get a subscription to my room, and I have this chart up all day long. I'm in the room from market open to market close with the SPY super system displayed, answering questions for all of our hundreds of members that we've got. And we do it for swing trades, and we do it for intraday trades. We do a lot of work on swing trades, but I'm not covering that tonight. We have really good swing trades. The alerts are mostly swing trades. We have quite a few strategies that we use, but I wanted to focus on the SPY super system methodology for 5-minute candlesticks. Very quick trades, not really scalps, but very quick trades where you can get several of them a day off of different stocks, and they work extremely well. But you've got to be quick. I mean, you've got to get in and get out of them. You've got to be able to manage the trade yourselves. But I have a video on all the structure of how these things work that I lay out exactly what the criteria is, and I point them out when I see good ones developing during the day. But a lot of the members also have the software and they're finding their own. So anyway, I appreciate you coming and listening to the webinar. Again, if you want to buy the software, you can just call Right Line at Trading. You'll have some information here at the end of this that you can link to, which will show you the access to the room and or the alert service and buying the software. A lot of people buy the software so they can trade on their own, and it's extremely effective. And I just wanted to cover that and let you know, a lot of times people think that we only can trade the SPY super system on the indexes, SPYs, Qs, and IWM, but I use it all the time on stocks especially stocks that can move a lot. Like Tesla is a prime example of one that can really move and make you a lot of money. on quick moves. And there's a lot of big ones like that, APP, a lot of stocks that move a lot. All right. So again, thanks so much for being here and listening to the webinar. I appreciate that. And looking forward to seeing you in the room.